All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, sneak peek number 1 for the May update is here. Part 2 of what I'm hoping is going to be a 3-part event for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has arrived. And as you can see, we have a Tier 3, a Tier 4, and new uniforms coming for GAMORA and GROOT.
Shut up and take my money!
We knew for a fact that GROOT was going to be getting a uniform because he was in the key art for the main update. However, we weren't 100% sure that GAMORA would be following Star-Lord and getting Tier 4. This was always a possibility, and I spoke about this being a case. However, many people, myself included, were really hoping to see Adam Warlock get a new uniform and a Tier 4, especially considering most of us are skipping over Star-Lord. However, seems like they have other plans. They're going to be dropping GAMORA instead. Now, what does this mean? Because lately, Netmarble's been fumbling the bag. They've been dropping the ball. You give them the layup with some MCU updates and they skip over uniforms, Tier 3, Tier 4, you name it. Is this going to be one of those cases? And if so, this is going to be a massive L to skip over Adam Warlock, a new uniform, Tier 4, Drax, new uniform, and Nebula, new uniform. But let's wait and see, because I have a suspicion that they might be using him the same way how they use Sharon Rogers to fill the gap and bridge a later update. However, as you can see right here, we have a message from GROOT which reads, GAMORA, I know you don't remember much, but here's a plan to make you feel at home here. GROOT left detailed care instructions, and it basically just says, I am GROOT, I am GROOT, I am GROOT.
Now, repeat back what I just said.
I am GROOT.
Uh-huh.
I am GROOT.
That's right.
I am GROOT.
No! No, that's the button that will kill everyone! Try again.
And the fact of the matter is, because this is repeated 3 times, this means GROOT is getting Tier 3. That's how I read into this. Okay, I gotta say, I really like how GROOT looks now. Like, low-key, my guy actually looks like a badass. Okay, teenage GROOT look like a stoner. Adolescent GROOT looks like a demon. I ain't gonna hold you. I'll be here for GROOT as a DPS, but I don't know if many people are checking for any Tier 3 DPS at this point. They want to see really good long-term value. Otherwise, they're probably going to skip over the uniform. At this point, considering what they did for Rocket Raccoon and Mantis, we know they can make mediocre to good DPS Tier 3 characters for the Guardians, but most people, if that's all they have to offer is mediocre to good or maybe even great DPS, they're going to skip over these uniforms and only buy uniforms for the Tier 4 character, or at least the character that is Tier 4able, because that's going to give you the most bang for your buck as a DPS. So hopefully they have more in store for GROOT, because part 1 for the Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of the uniforms, they were good, but they were easily skippable. And if part 2 is easily skippable, 1, this is good for free to play, as you can save your crystals for what comes next, whatever it may be, but that's bad for business. And at the end of the day, these guys are running a business. So as you can see here, GROOT is releasing, yo, this shot right here, dog. Yo, comment down below how y'all feel about this version of GROOT, bro. He look like he been hitting the gym. He looking swole, okay? My guy looking hard. Dice to the socks out the box, bro. Come on. Anyways, so as you can see right here, we have a close-up of GAMORA, and she's getting Tier 4, which means we have another speed Tier 4. She has the Weapon Master and the Agility tag, so she has the potential to make Star-Lord irrelevant for the Weapon Master stage. But this is what they had to say here on the forums. I was really hoping for more than just one sneak peek, but they're really getting lazy for these mid-month patches. 2 uniform, Tier 3, Tier 4. They've just gotten into this infinite loop and they don't want to break it because they're comfortable. So this right here is what they had to say. More superheroes will join the new journey of the Guardians of the Galaxy team, the Assassin and the Powerful Tree. Check out the new looks and powers of these superheroes, the most dangerous assassin of the universe and a tree creature with great power. We will announce more information to the patch details later. So basically they're saying it's a one and done. They're not dropping no more sneak peek until the patch details, and then there's gonna be a patch next Tuesday about midnight rolling into Wednesday. No maintenance, no nothing. We're gonna see what these uniforms can do. At least I can say on one hand that they're not just giving Groot a uniform and no tier 3, because that would be an easy skip. But I think what they're gonna do here, at least, you know what, hope is never a strategy, and I always tell you guys that, right? But I'm holding out hope that these guys are not dumb enough to skip over Adam Warlock, Nebula, and Drax, because that's easy money, bro. Like, come on, if you make them good enough, at least I know for a fact people go and buy the new uniform for Adam and they go tier for him just for PvP. Even if they don't buy the new uniform for Adam Warlock, they go and tier for him because the stat bump will make him good even in his older uniform. So like, I don't understand why they would skip over Adam Warlock. It makes absolutely no sense. So I'm gonna bet money that they're trying to like use this Guardians of the Galaxy update because it's big and it's stretchable. If you do Star-Lord, Rocket, and Mantis to begin with, then you do Gamora and Groot in the middle, and finish up with Adam Warlock, big name, then Drax and Nebula. That would keep people satiated and prevent boredom while you plan for the next big release, because I think they want to do something for Into the Spider-Verse 2, and this is going to be dropping June 2nd. That's about 3 weeks from now. Okay, this is going to be dropping on a Friday, and my guess is they want to do an Into the Spider-Verse update, so they want to do something for Miles Morales, maybe tier 4 for him in 3 weeks. Who knows? That might be a reason for you to hold on to your speed books instead of tier 4 in Gamora. But then maybe something for Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Gwen, and maybe Spider-Woman, since they're the Spider characters that kind of got left behind when Spider-Man got an upgrade recently. He got something with Chasm. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. Is Adam Warlock going to be used as a tool to bridge the gap between updates like we saw them do recently, very recently, with a new uniform for Sharon Rogers? It is literally the only thing that I can think of that makes sense. If they do not give Adam Warlock a uniform, whoever is working on the team that is designing these updates, you need to be fired expeditiously, because people love this man. They will buy a uniform for him. He's already one of the strongest characters in the game.
Shut up and take my money.
And people want more power from him. Okay, anyways, let's go back and let's talk about Gamora, because there's a couple of things that I'd like to see for her this time around. So I spoke about it briefly, but one of the pros for Gamora is the fact that she has the Weapon Master ability, and this comes in handy for stage 75 to 79 against Mephisto. Currently there's only 2 characters that can actually push past this stage: Star-Lord and Moon Knight. Now here's the thing, guys. Moon Knight requires that you use a CTP of destruction or energy. If it's a rage, he can do it, but it's a struggle and you need really good cards, and he needs to be tier 4. Star-Lord, he needs to be tier 4, and even then it might be a struggle, but he gets a big survivability boost. However, of the 3 characters that would be usable here because of the Weapon Master ability, Gamora is the only one that has a type advantage. So this might actually make it so that she doesn't need as much survivability or damage reduction, if you will, as these other characters. Star-Lord type neutral, Moon Knight type disadvantage, Gamora coming in with a tier 4 with type advantage, because I'm assuming she's going to stay as speed. However, she's more than likely going to revert to being a hero as opposed to a villain. And if that's the case, that's going to make her a candidate for ABX and ABL in place of Shadow Shell and Black Widow. So for the people who are holding out for Luna Snow, you might have someone else to consider instead of Shadow Shell or Black Widow, depending on how much power they actually pump into this new uniform for Gamora. Because do keep in mind, she already has a fantastic kit. She's just lacking a few changes. Like for example, right here, her tier 2 passive is one of the best in the game. 45% extra damage to heroes and villains. And in addition to that, she is built for a CTP of rage in this new uniform, because as you can see, she has guaranteed critical rate and guaranteed dodge. She has critical damage built in, so it's super easy to cap her stats. And then she also has damage accumulation built in. Realistically, an amazing kit. Oh, and she's a self-buff in leadership. Like seriously, Gamora has a really good base to become the strongest speed character in the game for PvE content. That title right now is being given to Shadow Shell, but Shadow Shell is only a little bit better than Black Widow. And with all of these tools in Gamora's kit, if she doesn't become the strongest speed character in the game, it's because the devs don't want her to be. It's just that simple. Realistically, the only cons that I can really come up with is the fact that she has a crappy 4-star passive. It could be way better. It's good for canceling the roar in AVX, but it could definitely be better. We've seen way better than this. Another thing is she has a terrible heal, 15%. This needs to be doubled at least. Another thing I could say is she's not necessarily the most proc friendly character in the game. Now, if you want to make her proc friendly, you could simply just go 3, 5, and then just proc on 4. However, how most people play her and how I would presume that you'd want to play her is like delay cancel the 5, so you slam down and then go into the 4. But most of the time, if you slam down with the 5, that's gonna trigger your proc. So she's not the most proc friendly character in the game, so hopefully they improve that to give her value, or more value if you will, with a CTP of energy. And having skills that would be instantly cancelable outside of her awaken skill would definitely bump up her DPS and make it easier for you to chain things together and get off more damage from chain hit combination. She has no damage reduction, so that's a big ding to her. And she also doesn't have iframe ignore on her 1 through 5. So those are the only flaws I can really come up with for Gamora. So hopefully the devs keep all of the strong points of Gamora in place and then work on some of her flaws. Next up is GROOT. And here's the thing, nobody's looking for another DPS that is mediocre. If you're not like Kamala Khan, or like maybe Jane Foster, where you're doing like in the 60s of World Boss Legend as a tier 3 character, nobody really checking for you. So what they need to do is very simple. They need to make it so that this passive for GROOT is something that people feel like they cannot live without. So bump up the when hit rate from 25% to 50%. Bump up the heal from 20% to like 30 or 40%. And in addition to the heal, they need to go ahead and just snatch my girl's uniform bonus, this thing right here, that 40% extra HP from her, and just toss this on GROOT as well. The decreased damage from reflect, you can leave that here or you can toss that to GROOT as well. But GROOT gotta offer something more than just the heal. And I think giving all of the guardians or all allies would make him someone to consider. Because imagine if GROOT is giving you, I don't know, 50% more HP from being on your team. You might see some teams with GROOT and Hulk together. You know what I'm saying? Plus debuff removal. Because the Guardians don't have nobody to give them debuff removal. Or maybe give the Guardians decreased damage taken from chain hit or something like that. Like realistically, I personally would love to play with GROOT like at least once as a DPS. If he becomes a DPS, that's only going to last for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. As the months roll over, we're getting more and more tier 4 characters. So tier 3 characters as DPS, their shelf life is very, very short. So most people, I would not recommend buying uniforms for tier 3 characters if they're only going to be used as a DPS. You're better off investing on one of the existing tier 4s or saving for future tier 4s.